Hmm. Baby? What's the matter? Oh, it's okay. No need to worry. It was just a bad dream. I promise. You're okay. I'm right here. There's no need to worry. It's all a bad dream. Hmm? Well, if it's bothering you that bad, tell me what your dream was about. Shh, it's okay. It's okay. I promise. There's no need to worry. I'm here. I know. It must have been scary, seeing me die in your dream. But you know that I would never let anything happen to you. And that I would fight tooth and nail to stay alive just for you. I wouldn't go getting myself killed, especially when I have you to return to. It's okay. I'm here. Baby. No need to cry. I promise. I'll always be here to protect you. You're my beloved angel after all. I couldn't exactly live with myself if I were to let anything happen to you. Come here. Cuddle up. I'll hold you real tight. Help you get back to sleep, okay? It's all good. I promise. I'll be here as long as you need me. If you want, I could always tell you one of my stories. They always usually help you fall asleep, baby. You like that, huh? Let's see what I can do. In a far-off land, there once lived a prince. All throughout the land, the prince was known for his generosity. He was known for his loving, compassionate nature. More often than not, the prince would go out and he'd lend his hand to the people, working with them equally, as if he himself had held no higher ranking than them. The prince never saw himself as anything special. He never saw himself as anything higher than others. He believed that whether you are noble blood or you are of lower class blood, we all bleed red. that just because he was born to a noble family does not mean that he should be treated any differently than the common folk. The people of this kingdom, they loved and cherished the prince. But the one thing the people could not give the prince that he desperately longed for was compassion or companionship. You see, the prince was very shut in. Despite him being very outgoing and very loving, he held a lot of responsibility on his back. He held a lot of fears, insecurities to himself. And the young prince was yet to marry. He could not find it in himself to marry a woman of noble blood, because those noble-blooded women, they were all fake, all talk. All they wanted was his social status. They wanted to improve their own standing by marrying into the family. He saw them as nothing more than greedy little rats, trying to weasel their way into nobility. And he hated the fact that they only cared about riches. Every girl that he met was adorned with the finest of jewelries, was covered in the greatest of emeralds and diamonds and pearls. They were slathered in the most expensive of makeups. But the young prince was not intrigued by these women. This caused the young prince to feel lonely. He was yet to find a woman who caught his eye. And then one day, when the prince had left the palace and walked the common streets, he saw a very poor girl. She looked like she was even lower than just the common folk. She looked like she wore the most ratty of clothes, had very unkempt hair, had holes and tears in her clothing, but she wore a smile on her face, a big, beautiful smile. The prince, he saw this girl, and he thought, whoa, how beautiful is this? She is not adorned with jewelry nor makeup. Her clothes are worn and torn. Her hair is unkempt. But of all the women I've seen, she is the most beautiful I have ever laid my eyes upon. He was intrigued by this girl. He didn't know exactly what it was about her that made him so drawn to her. All he knew is that he saw her selling bread on the side of the road and smiling all the while. When he approached this girl, he asked her, why is it that she's smiling? Is she not in poor living conditions? He comments on her clothes. He says, though you wear these torn up clothes, how is it that you are so happy? The young girl had replied to the prince, oh, Prince, your Majesty, the answer to your question is that I don't need luxurious things to be happy. I don't need the greatest of jewelries or to be covered in makeup to be happy. And while it is true that I do not live a very well-off life, I live humbly, though I may be poor. I choose to see every day as a blessing, because despite how poor I am, despite how unfinancially I live, I am blessed to even be alive to this day. I'm blessed to get a couple of copper pieces for my bread. I am blessed to be able to eat, even though it may be little. And though I may not look as if I'm like a proper lady, and even though the people may look at me and may scoff at me, even those who are in the same position as I, they scoff at me because of the fact that despite the fact that that my life is like this, I choose to take every day one step at a time and smile through it all. While it would be nice to have financial stability, I don't need it to be happy, as you can see. The prince was so intrigued by this girl. He could not believe what he heard. She did not need of money to be happy. She did not need to be adorned in the most luxurious of clothes, covered in the most lovely of diamonds and opals, and yet the way he saw this girl, she looked as if she herself was a beautiful maiden, gowned in the most luxurious of white clothing, with the biggest, beautifulest smile, with the most attractive set of eyes that you could drown in by looking at, eyes that spoke of true beauty. And then the prince thought, I know why it is that I feel this way for this girl. The way that I feel about her and the way that I see her, it does not matter that what she looks like on the outside. Her heart, it is noble and beautiful on the inside. She herself presents like a beautiful white rose on the inside, despite her living conditions on the out. And so the prince said, may I offer you an opportunity? And the girl, she looked at him. She sat gingerly and looked at him with the biggest smile and said, I don't believe I could take anything from you, Your Majesty, for you are royalty and I am but a peasant. And the prince kneeled down on one knee and he said to the girl, my dear, of all the women in the world that I have seen plenty of beautiful women, adorned in the greatest of clothes, covered in the greatest of jewelries, lathered in the most luxurious of makeups and lotions and perfumes. You are the only one who has caught my eye. And she asks him what he means. He tells her that he sees her not for her poverty, but for her heart, and that because of her heart, he would love to make himself the happiest man in the world by offering to have her be his bride. The poor girl, she was astonished. She opened her eyes real wide, so unbelievably confused. She asked, "How is it that you can ask me, a poor girl, to be your bride? I am but a lowly peasant." And he looks deep into her eyes and says, "My dear, to me you are no peasant. To me, you are a rare find, a rare gem, more lovely than the most vibrant of flowers. The amount of beauty that you contain despite your circumstances is so vast that it cannot be measured. You are the most beautiful girl I have ever met. Please, will you not consider my proposal and make me the happiest man ever by being my beautiful, lovely bride?" She smiles so wide, and she bows her head low and says, "I would love to be your lovely bride, your highness." And so he put his hand out and gingerly took her hand before kissing her palm and leading her up to the palace and adorning her with all the jewelry he could find, having her dressed in the most lavish of clothes. And when she came out, she says, "Your Highness, I could not accept such beautiful clothes, such beautiful jewelry. They are wasted on a commoner like me." He replied to her, "No, they'd fit you well. You yourself are the most beautiful thing I've ever met in my life. You yourself are a piece of art. You are a princess now, my bride. So no longer shall you see yourself as a lowly commoner. From this day on, you will be my beautiful blushing bride, and I promise to hold you close for the rest of my life." And the prince and his beautiful blushing princess lived happily ever after. There you go. Finally fallen back asleep. Sweet dreams, my beautiful little gumdrop. Forever till the sun goes down, I will hold you close until I find myself at the end of the road. And as the world comes to its end, let my love for you never end. Let me hold you close. Let me be right there. Let me hold you close and make life fair. And as the world may end, my love for you won't bend, and thy shadows will quake and fear at my love that will never end.